presidential candidate Bola Ahmed Tinubu speaks at Chatham House in London, makes series of promises. We'll review the engagement tonight. And the PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar was in Lagos for the PDP presidential campaign, where he said they will ensure the privatization of some refineries when elected president. Hello everyone, welcome to the program. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimaloye in Abuja. Let's get straight to it. Our eyes are not off the countdown to the election 2023. It is 82 days from today, and we're counting down to the moment Nigerians will be able to elect their next president. Of course, those who will be representing them across the senatorial district and House of Representatives districts in the National Assembly. So they're anticipating the opportunity to elect their leaders in February next year. So get your PVC and make your votes count. Well, then it's now time for us to check some of your political roundup stories.
Chairman of INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, told the delegation of the United Nations Office for West Africa and the Sahel, as well as the delegation of the West African Leaders Forum in Abuja, that the Commission is ready for the elections next year. But it is seriously concerned about the spate of attacks on its facilities. While the chairman reiterates that the Commission will recover from the attacks, he appeals to citizens to view INEC's offices across the country as their own property and to help with the security of these facilities.
I want to reassure Nigerians that we will recover from these attacks and the election will proceed as scheduled. We would like to appeal to all citizens to see the Commission's facilities as national asset.
The governor of Adamawa State, Umar Fintiri, says his administration has concluded plans for the construction of the International Cattle Market Mubi in the southern zone of Adamawa State. Addressing supporters in Gela, Mubi South local government area, in continuation of his ward-to-ward campaign across the state ahead of the 2023 general elections, the governor says he has set aside 5 billion naira credit facility for the cattle traders and other agribusiness owners. A former governor of Cross River State, Senator Leo Limoke, has assured the presidential candidate of the PDP, Atiku Abubakar, of massive votes from Cross Riverians in the coming general election. The former governor was speaking in Calabar, the Cross River State capital, during the inauguration of the Atiku Okowa Youth Women Wing of the Presidential Campaign Council, as he promised that the PDP will reclaim the state from the APC.
The matter is settled. Cross River State is returning back to PDP.
Ahead of the general election, the Kano State Commissioner for Information, Mohammed Garba, has predicted that the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, will defeat his counterparts in the new Nigeria People's Party, Mr. Rabiu Musa Kwankwanso, and the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, in the state. The commissioner notes that the state will provide secured environments for all residents regardless of tribe, ethnicity and religion before, during and after the 2023 general elections. The youth wing of the All Progressives Congress say the former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara's endorsement of the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, is for his own interest and not because of the Muslim ticket. Addressing journalists at a World Press Conference in Abuja, the group notes that the reason for Mr. Dogara's exit from the APC is because he was not picked as the running mate to the presidential candidate of the party, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And the Forum of Middle Belt and Southern residents in the Federal Capital Territory are asking the electorates to vote in a non-indigent in the FCT senatorial elections next year. The group, which briefed journalists in Abuja, say it amounts to injustice for non-indigents to contribute a major part of the votes that have produced the senator and 2 House of Representatives members representing the FCT in the last 12 years without any recognition of their own contributions.
Well, then you have it. Some of your political roundup stories, and you have now been up to date. Now, let's tell you that the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, APC, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, earlier today made an appearance at the Chatham House in London, where he spoke about his ambition to lead Nigeria. Tinubu insisted that his birth academic and professional records are consistent, adding that his critics are only wasting their time and money. Tinubu spoke on the topic Nigeria's 2023 election security and economic development and its foreign policy imperatives. Let me allow you to listen to a portion of Tinubu's speech at the Chatham House earlier today.
Today, elections are more credible than ever since the return of democracy since 1999. Recent statutory engagements, enactment, and allowing the use of technology, the tools for the accreditation of voters and transmission of results, will deliver the fairest and freest election in our nation's history. This is particularly important because the next president of Nigeria will have some tough choices to make and will not be able to do so with questionable electoral mandate. Ballot security and election violence are areas where there is cause for concern. There is an emerging trend of attacks against the personnel and infrastructure of the Independent National Electoral Commission in part of the country. At the same time, political conversations on social media have become more laced with violent rhetoric and threats of violence, retaliation against those opposing, perceived as opposing partitions. I stand firmly against all forms of electoral violence and intimidation.
Well, then you have it. The speech by Bola Tinubu earlier at the Chatham House. But after that speech, there were some question and answers moments where he was able to answer questions to some of the questions that were raised by the organizers. But let's take a quick break, and we'll be getting some feedbacks as a review of Bola Tinubu's appearance at the Chatham House. Then we dig into some other issues relating to some of the responses, the promises made, and the engagement at the Chatham House. Stay with us, everyone. We'll be right back. All right, then. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. We plan to have a review of Bola Tinubu's engagement in the United Kingdom, specifically at the Chatham House. Joining me on the program from London is one of the key members of Mr. Tinubu's inner circle team that went with him to London, Mr. Dele Alake, a former Commissioner for Information and a member of the APC Presidential Campaign Council. He joins me via telephone. Thank you so much, Mr. Alake, for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Let me, first and foremost, this is a telephone conversation, so we may not have as much of the time that we should naturally have. I understand that you were en route, you are in the vehicle going for another event, and so you're not able to stabilize and have this interview. But let's get the conversation going. First and foremost, how would you describe the performance, the appearance, and the engagement of Mr. Tinubu in London at the Chatham House today?
Oh, thank you, Sheo, for having me. I think it's the engagement of Asiwaju today at the Chatham House has been superlative. It's been fantastic. It's been actually invigorating. It's been inviting. It's been reverting. It's been arresting. It's proved all the naysayers. It's disproved all the naysayers. All the nattering nabobs of negativism, all those who never do wells, all those who left issues, germane issues concerning Nigerians and focused on character assassination, on all kinds of irrelevancies, inanities, they've been disproved and they've fallen flat. Asiwaju has been applauded, commended by all and sundry. All the reviews that we've gotten so far have been very, very positive. I think, in fact, people are saying that, oh, they never knew that he was this articulate, he was this erudite, he was this stable, he was this fantastic in terms of expressing, delivery and all that. It was flawless. It was faultless. It was just an syllable.
Oh, wow. So, I mean, then, because I know you probably have been following the responses because people were able to join online real time to watch that engagement. Perhaps you're getting some responses already. First and foremost, the first round of questions thrown at Mr. Tinubu, he had to delegate people to answer for him. A lot of criticism from your critics have come to, well, can we vote for a president who delegates for people to speak with him when the nation needs to hear directly from him?
Again, Sheon, that's one of the innovations of Asiwaju Tinubu. Don't forget that one of his main solid strengths has been the identifying talents and headhunting of the highest order. And anybody who has his heads properly screwed on his neck will know that Asiwaju is the primus inter pares in terms of team building. And that's what he sought to show, to display. Team building. Now, everybody acknowledges his talent in showcasing professionals, technocrats, experts in various fields. And those who are saying what you have just said are ignorant of the nuance and the dynamics of leadership. Leadership is not a one-man show. Successive leadership or successful leadership is one based on solid. A team that is professional, that is highly skilled, that is with management, all manners of skills that you require to move a society. Asiwaju has been noted to be an advocate of that, and that's what he displayed. And in any case, Shehu, if you watched it, apart from delegating, he also answered questions personally and directly. And then he wanted to show the caliber of his team. And that's what he did at the Eco Hotel Town Hall meeting as well. In fact, that style is being copied by some of his opponents, but they can't get the traction because they don't have a solid team like he has. I mean, let's give it to him. Now, the Chatham House thing is not also etched in stone. The concept is for you to come and showcase your plans and programs. Nobody said, oh, it's only you that must speak. And in any case, has any president or any head of state, commander-in-chief anywhere ruled alone when he's not a dictator?
No, so
Mr.
Alake, you know, the argument in that direction is whether or not when the time comes for the nation to hear from the chief executive and the commander-in-chief, whether or not they will find Mr. Tinubu, if elected president, to be able to speak directly to Nigerians and not ask his subordinates or those.
That view is misplaced. Don't forget that the man spoke directly for 28 minutes non-stop at the Chatham House. So what else are you saying? When he delivered his address, he delivered it alone. Nobody helped him to deliver the address. So after the address, the question and answer is even a very small part of the entire engagement. It was a small part of it. And then he sought to display the dexterity of his team, which is also an important ingredient in successful leadership. People must get their priorities right. When you want a good leader, and one of the factors of good leadership is the ability and capacity to assemble a strong team, a team that is knowledgeable, that is visionary, that has courage, and that's what the man has done. And in any case, if you want the man to speak with you, he has. He has already delivered his address without interruption, without assistance from anybody, from anywhere. So what else? He's just these are rantings of the opposition.
And you will hear more of that in the coming days, because this is politics.
It doesn't matter whether we hear more of it or not. Does not make them right.
Yeah, but because some of these comment, and it's good that you're responding to them, and that's democracy. People will speak, then you have opportunity to respond, and that's the beauty of things, isn't it? Perhaps you might be able to clear the air also about some of the appearances of your principal at some campaign at a podium. Some that have been referenced as mistakes, and some have been seen as gaffes on the podium when he's speaking at some. And your opposition had already spoken about it. They said, "Look, how can we trust him not to be making those kind of gaffes when he becomes president?"
Shehu, again, I will tell you that you are only. You not as an individual, but the media, are only pandering to the whims of the opposition, to the whims of those who leave germane critical issues concerning the livelihood of Nigerians to be saying, "Oh, this man has committed a gap." Shehu, why are you, just a few days ago, Baghdadi Ahmed, the vice presidential candidate of Labour Party, committed a great gaffe. You are aware of it. I have not seen your station or the media generally feasting on it as they will feast on the Asiwaju, who is a human being like anybody. Even there's a video making the rounds now of the spokesperson of Labour Party in Anambra State, making a whole lot of unpardonable gaffes, referring to LP as one of the worst, the Labour Party as one of the worst things that's ever happened to Nigeria. And then, sorry, I mean APC. That's a gaffe. I haven't seen the media making a feast of it. If it is Asiwaju that committed something minute, then you propagate it, you adumbrate it, you feast it to high heavens. That is what is happening, Shehu. Every Atiku committed a gaffe in Kaduna when he said they should vote for him because he's a northerner. I didn't see any one of any media or the critical media making a mountain out of such. And that's a real mountain which speaks to the unity of Nigeria. It be very critical to the oneness and existence of Nigeria. No, if it was Tinubu that made that, heavens would have come down. So it is really nothing nothing to clear about. Any gaffe. Now, Obi has committed a gaffe. In fact, Obi is noted for false statistics. Anybody knows that. But the critical media will not pick that up, because it does not suit their narrative, except it's Asiwaju. So there's really nothing to clear about there. Asiwaju is a human being like any other person. Of course, even you, Shehu, even me, I'm not immune to gas now and then. That does not translate to one's capacity to rule. No, you are a human being. And in any case, like we've always said, no president should even rule alone. And even the Constitution did not say or allow a president to rule alone. You must have a team. So whether, after all, one of the greatest American presidents, Franklin Roosevelt, ruled on a wheelchair. And he went for the third term.
Mr. Alake,
which was rare in the history. So therefore, don't let us give vent to some of these irrelevancies. Let's stick to the issues of security, of economy, of agriculture, of unemployment, of things that are germane to the existence and success of our country.
Which I think was part of the main the meat of the conversation at the Chatham House today, and which, of course, we are hoping that we might be able to engage the candidates more and more as we go into the election in February. By the way, Mr. Alake,
but the point is that the opposition media are always delving on irrelevant issues.
No, Mr. Alake, I wanted to ask. By the way, is there any? Is there any plan by your team to plan a one-on-one with your candidate with any of the major mainstream media organizations before the election?
Oh yes. The plan is afoot. Oh yes, definitely.
Okay,
anyway, yes, that will be done. Apart from that, let me explain something, Shehu, and let me bust the bubble of those who arrogantly and prudently arrogate some excessive sense of self-importance to themselves, especially a section of the media, thinking that they are the only channel that any aspiring leader can use to reach Nigerians. Oh, that is not true. But I am part of the media, and I can tell you this myth to ourselves. No, there are so many channels that any leader can use to reach Nigerians, one of which Asiwaju has even been exploiting to maximum advantage, and that is the town hall meetings. He's had several. He's had in Lagos, he's had in Nasarawa, he's had in Minna, he's had in Imo, he's had in Gombe, he's had all over the place. And that's how to reach Nigerians. And who says that it is only through a particular TV station that you can reach Nigerians, when you are even on the TV station and some people in the rural areas don't have access to it? And those are the voters.
Does that rule out the fact that
content analysis?
Yeah.
If you do a content analysis of this exaggerated sense of self-importance by section of the media, you fall flat.
Does that rule out the fact that Mr. Tinubu may not be participating in any presidential debate before the elections?
Look, that has nothing to do with what. Your question is he going to be engaging with some journalists or one-on-one and all of that? And I said, yes. In fact, just a while ago, I did tell you, he engaged one of your reporters, in fact, your correspondent, China's correspondent in London here, and I was there with him. She engaged him one-on-one. And I'm sure you get the report.
Fantastic.
So it does not mean that he has to go to a particular station that everybody knows because is adept at blackmailing. No, we don't succumb to blackmail.
You know, I think one of the issues that also came up was the response of Asiwaju at the Chatham House when he made the response to the question that was raised that because he's a sellable, a marketable candidate, he doesn't want anybody to make money off him. And one will wonder that, look,
he was referring to a particular blackmailing station, media house. Not everybody, no.
All right. So before I go, Mr. Alake, because I know how much of time it took me to be able to get you to speak with us, because I know that you told me that you had an engagement that you were going for.
I came out of the engagement right now to answer you.
Thank you so much for that. But finally, Mr. Alake, you are my very good friend. Someone who I've met on the job. But, you made reference to a story that was reported by another television station, which was not reported by China's television. I guess that was a mistake of you thinking that it was reported by everybody. It wasn't reported by China's television. But I think in life, we make mistakes, and it's men of integrity also would pull those back to say, look, we made a mistake. We thought you did, but you did not.
No. I never said Channels carried that particular story. No. What I did say was that Channels also pandered to all the negative things about Ashiwaju. I mean, all the allegations that were inanities, allegations that were as old as 30 years that had been dealt with before. I expected any reputable and deep media house to be able to do a throwback, a background check, and know that these allegations had been done away with 30, 20-something years ago. So if any opposition party should bring them up for propaganda effect, it is not a serious news medium that should help in propagating such. That was my view, and I stand by that view.
Mr. Dinyalaki, I must sincerely thank you. But you know, when you were an editor those days, you were notable for being a very, very, in fact, some people refer to you as a very stubborn editor at the time. But you know, the nature of the media is, I mean, you can't run away. The media is the mirror of the society. You cannot run away from your own shadow. We report what is in the society. But thank you so much indeed, Mr. Lake, for your time tonight. I appreciate it.
Pleasure.
I appreciate it. We take a break, everyone, and when we return, the PDP's candidate Atiku Abubakar was in Lagos for the presidential rally. We'll review some of his statements and some of the issues in the state of the race. Stay with us, everyone. We'll be right back. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us on the program. So the People's Democratic Party, PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar was in Lagos earlier today for the PDP's presidential rally at the Tafawa Balewa Square in Lagos. And the campaign was to voters to vote for him and his party and the candidate of the party in the state. Mr. Atiku has pledged to privatize the nation's refineries if elected as president next year. The PDP candidate said that he will earmark $10 billion from the refinery sales to empower the small and medium-scale enterprises of young Nigerians. Take a listen to Atiku Abubakar in Lagos.
If you elect me as the president, I said and I promise, by the grace of God, I am going to set aside $10 billion so that we can empower our young men and women in small, medium enterprises. People were asking me, where am I going to get 10 billion? If I privatize Port Harcourt refinery, Wari refinery, Kaduna refinery, I'm going to get the money. So, let me also promise you, if you elect a PDP government, we are going to restructure this country. What do we mean by restructuring? We will give your states and local government more powers and resources. It is up to you to hold them responsible.
That's Atiku Abubakar earlier today in Lagos. But also, today was another very interesting event to perhaps officially receive a former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Yakubu Dogara, back into the PDP. You remember that he left at some point when he left APC, but he's now returned to the PDP. Take a listen to him.
I want to assure the people of Lagos that for us, it is the unity, peace, progress of this country that borders us. And we have looked at all the tickets, and we believe it is Atiku and Okowa who will deliver on the great promise of this nation.
Well, so there's been a lot of criticism from Mr. Dogara's action. Don't forget that Babachi Lawal, Yakubu Dogara, they've been the leaders of the northern Christians who have been very critical about Bola Tinubu and Shatima ticket on the issue of the Muslim ticket. And now Babachi Lawal had rooted for Peter Obi. Now Yakubu Dogara endorsing Atiku Abubakar. Well, there's been some reaction, and it's coming from the River State governor in some wiki. Take a listen to him.
What I want to tell the presidential candidate of PDP, we mean peace. We want all of us to be together for the party to win an election. But let me say clearly, if your boys again continue to attack the G5, continue to attack the leaders of our party, we will strike back. We will strike back. If anybody again dares in the PDP President Campaign Council to insult the PDP governors of G5, insult our leaders of Integrity Group, we will fight back. Enough is enough.
There you have it. Let's talk more about this, the development in the PDP, the presidential campaign of today in Lagos State, the return of Yakubu Dogara back to the PDP, and the endorsement of Atiku Abubakar, plus the reaction of Mr. Wike on Dogara and any other person in the PDP. Let's get talking. I have joining me governorship aspirant in Ogun State. He's reminding me that he's Otumba Segun. Show me. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Sure,
I appreciate it.
Good evening. It's nice to be here.
How far with your governorship ambition? Is this still on?
We'll come to that in the second.
No, just remember.
It's on. It's on. It's very much on, yes.
But there was judgment.
There are quite a lot of judgments. Some of them have been, the other guys have lost out. Maybe they will appeal, I don't know, but my case has not. But
momentarily, Ladi Butu has been declared by the court last week.
You see, if you ask a question and you don't want an answer, then it's hard.
No, you answered. I'm asking the follow-up.
There are many cases.
Yeah.
You win. Some of the cases are by Jimilawa. Some of them are some other persons. Some of them have not gone as envisaged. Some of them have options of going further. I don't know. But my case is still in Supreme Court. It's not been called, and I think it will be successful.
All right. Thank you so much for clarifying.
Now let's go to serious business.
So Ogun said it's not serious business.
It's serious business, but let's do. You've taken a lot of time with Dele Alake.
Is that his time? Then you will have your time.
No, let me have my time. I don't want to do banter. I want to do
calm down. I see that you've been shaking since you were listening to other conversations. Let's get to it. The Keith and King of Mr. Dogara had said, look, the departure from APC is self-serving and is not going to be missed. What does Dogara add to your party by joining and endorsing Atiku Abubakar?
Thank you. Before I get to the Dogara question, I would like to respond a little bit to the Delake comments. You see, people don't understand what exactly is supposed to be gained in presidential debates. I suppose anyone who wants to lead a nation must subject himself to the inconveniences of answering tough questions at home. I'm utterly disappointed that in spite of the disdain with which they are, received and treated media houses, I heard some of the unpleasant adjectives they're using to describe media houses in Nigeria, and yet they run to some independent policy institute in London called Chatham House, and they want to go and talk about Nigeria. I feel that we must never sell ourselves short as a nation. Whereas I do not have a problem with people doing international engagement, I take very serious objections to people thinking that they're too big, they're too entitled, they can bully the entire system and prevent legitimate organizations in Nigeria to call them. If you don't come, they are not going to force you, but it speaks volume of how you see yourself relative to everybody you're asking to listen. So I think that that's absolutely unacceptable. He was also saying a lot about people maybe maligning them or not focusing on the issues. Not so. Bola Tinubu and his team made his health status an issue when they chose to, when he was doing his knee surgery, converted it into a big event. When he came home, when he wants to walk, they are doing like they want to hold him so that he doesn't fall down. He's at private meetings. They are video recording him secretly and pushing it out there. What exactly were they expressing? They caused it for themselves. And when the candidate now began to go on public engagements and he was fidgeting, his hands were not going as well as they should, and he was making mistakes that Bola Tinubu would never make. He wants to talk about perambulation. He go blah, blue, blah. What's all that? And it wasn't once. It wasn't twice. So if it's like that, they have to look themselves in the mirror and know they cost it for themselves and not begin to stay in a foreign land on an organization that is not even up to the status of the Nigerian Institute of Policy and Strategic Studies and begin to pretend as though all of the other organizations within the country, Nigeria, is not up to standard or cannot question them. And I think the media must be very firm on that. We will not have anybody who wants to serve us begin to give us the impression that it's bigger than the collective. So whatever it is that Delelake is talking about is hogwash. They need to come back home and start attending events. Atiku attends events in spite of the fact that he has been contesting for a while. So typically, Atiku could say, oh, my views are known, therefore if you call me, I won't answer. But he painstakingly attends it. And when you ask him questions, he answers. When you ask him questions that ordinarily some other person will say, oh, this is below the belt, he gives as honest an answer as possible. That's how you know those who don't consider themselves too big for all of us to try to do. That's that on that. When they come back home, they should come and answer channels. They should answer Arise TV no matter how annoyed they are. And that insinuation of people blackmailing them, nobody's blackmailing you guys. You guys are the ones who are even known for underarm tactics when it comes to the way the state of the place. The only thing that has happened is that you are thinking that you are going to be coronated, like you were coronated in your primaries, and good materials were prevented from participating or even probably even represented, so that all of us will not be ashamed, and therefore the media will not be cowed. That's that. Now back to the Dogara matter. Politicians from time to time take positions. Sometimes you can even say based on selfishness. But oftentimes than not, what you must use to decipher whether this politician is being selfish or this politician is being, acting on conviction is the reason he gives. Because the heart of man is so difficult, you can't deconstruct it. Dogara's reason is very clear. He's a high-standing member of the church. We have always run a balanced ticket in this country because we have, by estimate, close to 80 million Christians. They come from a minority stock in the north, and therefore these issues will be a bit more germane for them. And if they feel very strongly that, look, there's nothing wrong with our party, that's their party, according to them, but we do not accept that you're going to have a Muslim ticket and give the impression that there's nobody in the Christian north that can add value to a ticket. If they are angry and they want to leave, they'll be right to leave. And if Dogara comes back, he's most welcome back. He's going to bring some value from his constituency. He's been winning elections. Those who went to sit down in one corner claiming that he doesn't bring anything will count the vote and see how it goes. So as far as I'm concerned, I prefer people who don't move, really. But movement can be inevitable. Is Dogara supposed to go when he feels that, oh, Christians are being taken off the ticket, especially northern Christians? Is Dogara supposed to lie down there and just die? No, he's not supposed to do that. He can go. And the fact that you said one of them has gone to Labour and the other is coming to PDP, it's a matter of choice. Those parties are parties that at least have balanced ticket. And Dogara must have felt, no, I'm coming from the northeast. We've never produced president. There are other reasons why I will be here. I'm more comfortable here. I'm used to Atiku. I'm used to Sagraki. I'm used to the entire house. So I won't feel too much like an alien. So that's that on that. But frankly speaking, this election must be elevated to a point where we will ask ourselves, who has the gravitas, everything considered, to manage these problems that is staring us? Whatever it is that we call the challenges of the country today is still a tip of the iceberg. Our major concern must be, if we do not manage these symptoms, if a sure, battle-tested general like Muhammadu Buhari is struggling with insecurity and we still can't find an easy silver bullet to solve it, then we must stop deceiving ourselves that it's easy and look at who has experience, who has the gravitas, who talks about the critical, important thing, which really is restructuring. If we are just giving ourselves the opportunity of state police and probably local government police, maybe we would have been able to confine some of these security challenges to some location. All right, but if you convert the 2023 election to a situation where the candidates will not make themselves available for questions, except they organize their friends in the town hall meetings who'll be patting them at the back and they'll be speaking. He went to Chatham House, he was reading by teleprompter, I listened in, they wanted to ask him questions, he filibustered as ever, I will give it to this, I'll give it to that, I'll give it that. You almost get the impression that their candidate goes around the world and thinks that everywhere is Lagos. And when they say, oh, I've done it before in Lagos, I've done it before in Lagos, the reason why you can't take the experience of a state government to give you any great advantage when you come to running a nation like Nigeria is because of the depth of the diversity. A program you put in the Southwest and everybody will be happy with it may not be exactly received that way in the North. It may not be exactly received that way in the Southeast.
Let me ask you, there's been a lot of reaction since your candidate. That is not the first time he's saying that anyways.
What's that?
His position on privatization, which has been criticized by your opponent about is leaning towards, he said it in 2019, and the reaction that followed from the opponent was that he was going to sell the whole government and the whole nation's assets to his friends. And this again has come up about the plan that he has, should he become president, to sell the three refineries, Warri, Port Harcourt, and Kaduna, and sell it. These are some of the views of your candidate, which has gotten reactions, and people wonder, does it matter to him what the nation owns or what other people own in the name of the nation?
Bless you for that question. Please let me calmly try and explain the perspective. We have had our refinery, our NNPC for years. And other nations too have hydrocarbons, the Brazilians, the Americans, even the Saudis. And we have seen over the years that our case has been a great embarrassment. Even in terms of supplying the commodity for local consumption, we haven't seemed to be able to do that. We're not making money from the asset. They're not pulling their weight. And we're seeing that Aramco is privatized and they are doing well. We're seeing that Petrobras is privatized, they are doing well. We're seeing that other countries don't have that governmental structure. And please, 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 privatization does not really take the asset into another man's country. In the finest sense of the word, privatization is a clever language to say you want to bring in foreign money and foreign expertise into your system. And therefore, you are going to remove the bureaucracy that gives people that are appointed the entitlement to treat it like a national asset or a national cake and not get value. That's what the man has been saying. And Atiku has never been someone who is afraid of holding a point of view that is tough. Atiku has been talking about restructuring that I know since 1999. And you know, coming from the north, that conversation couldn't have been that pleasant, but he never stopped. Atiku started saying, this oil thing is not working, it's not working. We're not making money, we can't supply, we're doing equalization, we're just burning money, we're doing subsidy. We need a new model. It didn't have to be popular.
The question
now
is,
everybody now knows. The answer to your question is this. Some aspect of business, government has no business being in it. You can do a privatization and still float the equity, which will mean that Nigerians can buy in it. There are many models. Don't get the impression.
The question is whether he has led privatization in the past. Has those privatization process...
All of the...
Just a moment, let me land on the third. Has those privatization worked? Were they successful? Were they priced at the right value?
Yeah, okay. This question of price, let me explain how that works for you. It's like an auction.
Are you explaining on your own?
I am explaining.
You're speaking the thought of your principle.
When people call me former spokesman, I just laugh and I allow the people that are working now to have some gravitas in public space. I'm still the spokesperson. Yes, I'm telling you.
It's not official yet.
It has always been. I was never decommissioned. There was really no need for me to come into publicity and say, I'm the spokesman. No. We have new people come on board. We should give them some space to put in something. But please note, I am the spokesperson of His Excellency Waziri Atiku Abubakar.
So I'm asking,
the words I'm giving you,
on the issue of assets and the price value.
The word I'm giving you are as a result of long-term knowledge of the policy direction. He's not telling you that when you want to privatize, you first of all have to know that the first thing you do is that you are cutting your waste. Because you don't even have to keep putting in money. Then you are going to advertise it. It's like at an auction. When you want to, on the day of the advertisement, the man with the highest bid is going to win. Even if it may appear as if the price is low, what you must calculate is that, okay, you've cut your losses, new money is coming in, safety is coming into it, better value. Take the telecommunications, for instance. Would you take the banks? In the beginning of this republic, we used to take tallies to come and collect our own money from banks. People failed this bank. When you want to take even as little as 20,000 in the bank, you could be told to come the next day. It was privatized. We now have banks that can compete in Africa, that are leading up, because some will be successful, some may not. The ones that are not successful is a reflection of the fact that businesses can fail even in the hands of private hands. But it doesn't matter. It does not substitute the fact that government cannot run
where
business.
Where I'm going is the fact that if your principal had said, I sold, albeit, or privatized, I led the privatization process, albeit, they were actually giving out below the valued price.
I just explained, Seun.
No, the question is that there were mistakes and that being acknowledged.
I think we can't even be held responsible, but I can tell you for free. Go and read The Accidental Servants by Nasir El-Rufai. Look, a leader carries a lot of, his version, responsibilities that he can't come and say, I'm not responsible. He has to take it. And Atiku has demonstrated that he has the ability to take it in the chin. When he was in charge of privatization, it didn't mean that he was the one that had to sign up on everything. And he never interfered. But if you're going to take the credit, suddenly you're going to take the blame. And I've just told you, we sold the one in Ikotekwene. That's one thing that gets thrown in my face. And it's not working yet. But what about the one in Ajakuta? Why is it not working? There are many reasons why some of these big multinationals can't, they can't fly like that. Have you ever even thought for a second that why would Nigeria as a nation be putting in so money, Obasanjo putting money, Buhari is putting in money, and there we don't have full power? Have you contemplated that sometimes there are even conspiracies against us? Have you contemplated that it's possible for somebody to take the asset?
Okay. Thank you so much.
I'm trying to say to you, Seun, we didn't have enough time for this.
So what you're saying is
my last word is this, on this.
Go ahead.
Let us not pretend as if you had a big economy in 1999 to 2007. The economy was very small and depressed. And let us be calm to know that between 2007 till date, Atiku didn't have any hand in what happened to the country directly. And when he says he wants to lead now, I guarantee you he's the best man for the job.
Segun Sowunmi, he's told us now that he's still the spokesperson.
Yes, I am.
Thanks so much indeed for coming here.
My pleasure.
Sowunmi.
Thank
you so much, very good friend. Well, that's our show for today. But on the programming note, everyone, be aware that All Progressives Congress presidential candidate Bola Ahmed Tinubu was at Chatham House earlier today in London, where he presented his plans for the people of Nigeria if he becomes the president of the country. He spoke about curbing insecurity, revamping the economy, and building institutions that will enhance electoral process in the country. There were also questions and answer sessions. Join us at 11 p.m. Nigerian time for the broadcast of the engagement. And that's how we draw the curtains of the program tonight. Thank you so much indeed, everyone. God bless Nigeria.